Well, welcome back, traders. It is good to have you here. Mike Fairborn here for our swing trading class, where we do look at those shorter term time frames within trends to try to capture some of those bigger moves that are happening within trends, generally over a shorter term time frame, within a month for sure. But yeah, I look forward to diving into that with you. Hello to each of you. Hello to you, Jenny, Michelle. Great to have you on board with us today, as well as. We've got others here. We've got Austin. We've got David. Let's see. Who else do we have here? We've got plenty of others here to help us out. We've got Michael, or within the chat. We've got Will, the sunshine guy. I do like to flip that around on Will sometimes. But hey, by the way, two or three sunset pics later today on X for sure. I've been traveling over the weekend, took a little bit of time off, but I've got some cool ones to post. So check those out if you're interested. But by the way, hello to you, Chris, Scott, John. We've got Jay Richardson, David, Alfred Reisberg, Eric, many others. Good to have you on board, folks. Any questions, comments you have, throw those in the chat. We'd love to see those comments. We'd love to see those questions. Joining in the chat by a really good friend of mine, Connie Hill. You'll see her in the chat is CH, teaches some great classes, which I will point out here just momentarily in a little bit. But great to have Connie here on board. All right, everybody. Well, with that and having said all that, let's dive into some disclosures right now. Get the show on the road. This material is intended for general information and educational purposes only. Uh, Options carry a high level of risk, not suitable for all investors. If we tap into those today, short options can be assigned at any time up to expiration, regardless of the in-the-money amount. ITM option has a high risk of being assigned early. Short put risks purchasing the underlying stock at the strike price when the market price of stock will likely be lower. Now, the paper money software application is for education purposes only as well. Investing involves risk, including the loss of principal, and for some products and strategies, loss of more than your initial investment. Now, there's no guarantee that an execution of a stop order, which we're going to be placing today on some example trades, but there's no guarantee that that execution of a stop order will be at or near the stop price. Past performance, no guarantee of future results. Dividends are not guaranteed. And here's a look at our futures. The futures options trading involves substantial risk, not suitable for all investors. Now, we just look at the charts here. We do not trade futures. We have other classes for that. Or we do look at sample, future setups and things along those lines to provide information. But here we just look at the charts. And so, with all that, we're going to do this. We're going to dive in. Let me just do this real quick. I'm going to go ahead and pull this up here and highlight. Let's just go over here for a second. And I'm going to go into SPX. Now, I did actually, there was a little bit of a flash of BTC up there, which is Bitcoin. Now, we don't trade Bitcoin in this class. We don't look at really Bitcoin here, but I did have it sitting up there. So let me just quickly state just a quick verbal disclosure on that, just as a side note, so you're all aware of it. Based on cryptocurrencies, and cryptocurrencies, digital currencies, such as Bitcoin, are highly volatile, not backed by any central bank or government. Digital currencies may lack many of the regulations and consumer protections that legal tender currencies and regulated securities have. Okay, that's all on that. Now we're back to our regular broadcast. Okay, so let's look at the markets here and a few things to really look at as we dive into the S&P 500 first, just getting us that big picture perspective on the market, the S&P 500. Okay, so what are we seeing here? Well, pretty clearly we're seeing that big boom to the upside, that big rally off the bottom, which took everybody, a lot of us by surprise, myself included, at least the size of this move. Pretty massive. Not unusual at all, though, to see a little bit of a consolidation to occur after here. Now, we've got a couple of different points to make here on the consolidation. What are you guys seeing here on that? You see the consolidation. We see a few different things setting up here in terms of, well, we've got sort of a sideways channel. Now, anytime you get a big move up like this, they are fascinating. It can be very, very interesting in terms of a follow through or follow through potential that a number of traders might look at. That is because we are getting sort of a flaggish type pattern. Now, that right there, which is what we're kind of getting. Actually, let me give it one more lift right there because we're getting that too. This is known as a pennant type pattern. It's a pennant, and this is noted to be by a lot of traders bullish, particularly after a big run to the upside, breaking highs, and this is really on the S&P 500 index, all time highs, that is, and a consolidation This is a lot of times perceived as a continuation type move, a potential continuation pattern. Now, imagine for a second the size of the move that could unfold if we come close to matching this particular setup right there. If we have that kind of a move break to the upside, folks, that is a very, very big rally, but it would still fit into the potential AI type boom and bust cycle and a lot of the investments going into that. We did see some pretty big moves. By the way, a little side note, just a little side note on this, just pick up on this a little quick. But taking a look at this here, Micron, yeah, some pretty interesting numbers. We talked about a little bit about this in our Thinks Group class last week, but look at this. Yeah, so for $3, 478, $12. I'm looking at earnings down below. $25. Yeah, it's been increasing. There's been a lot of boom and expansion coming into just that right there. So it is interesting. I'm just saying, hey, is that AI kind of a boom slash rally still alive, still in effect? Well, some of the bigger names are suggesting that it is. Now we'll have to wait and see what does unfold here. Let me just sidetrack one other thing here for each of you that do get into patterns. We do have a pattern class as well that is talked about. We do a lot of patterns here in swing trading. There's a little bit of an overlap there between patterns and swing trading, but because a lot of the time frames are swing trade time frames. But as we look over here, there's something else we're actually seeing too. It could be a pennant, but also if you're seeing anything else in there, you might be seeing something else in this move. There could be a further extension. Now, a triangle pattern. Okay, great. I'll just spell it out. You guys all know what I'm talking about. The triangles themselves, though, they're noted for a five-wave move. And I'm talking specifically, this will dive in all the way into Elliott wave theory, a five-wave. And that's normally not one, two, three, four, five, but A, B, C, D, E. And if I'm just sticking with that Elliott wave sequence, A, B, C, D, we don't know where D is going to terminate, but then also E, if it were to unfold this way. That's a five-wave move. The pennants are traditionally not five-wave. They're like a, a one, two, three, and go. Now that could certainly unfold here. It's interesting to see. Either way, this is noted for being a continuation pattern and folks just bullish in general in the direction of the trend. What is the trend direction? Upside trend. It's upside. So that would be the anticipation from a number of traders, right? To the upside. Now we're going to see this exact same thing unfold here on the NDX. But before I go, what could also lead to a potential triangle? Remember, what is the triangle? Lower highs, conversely on the bottom, higher lows. That's what gets this into a coiling formation where we could bounce and move out of it. Look at this. See, here we go, here we go, here we go. That right there, if I erase this blue line now, you're going to see what we discussed in this class a few times. There's your three soldiers up right there. Uno, dos, tres, right? One, two, three. Uh, a lot of times you'll get a three soldiers up in a pullback. I just said it and I just looked back and saw it here too without even seeing it before. I just wanted to look back and see one, two, three. Do you see it? Three green in a row. And a lot of times they are three green like this. The real expert on a lot of this stuff is Connie Hill. She does hold the CMT designation. Very, very excellent with her technical skills. I've known that for years, but no doubt about it. A lot of times this three, though, will look like this. They're kind of these bigger bars, and you're kind of seeing that right now. Now, is that going to unfold? We don't know, but that is sort of an expectation that some traders will look at. Where this becomes even more prevalent is, I'd say, the NDX. Big bars right here, but same thing, right? This is really technology, a lot of tech, market weighted tech, and specifically, yeah, is it true that we're getting a lot of the AI in the S&P 500? No doubt about it. AI type tech stocks definitely here, proportionately even greater here. And so very, very interesting to watch. But a lot of traders, I would say, I would look, you would kind of anticipate, they're looking at trends. that are looking at maybe macro trends as well on an economic front, they would be much more in the bullish camp right now. Although there could be one more little consolidation, which would be an interesting one to look at. By the way, Alfred says, hey, forming a double bottom. Oh, there you go. Well, look at this. Yeah, I love how you guys are pointing these out because this is interesting too. I hear these points, and sometimes I don't even recognize until you guys bring them up. But there's like a bottom right there on some of these forming double bottom. There's something there. And by the way, that's kind of honestly, this is like kind of an upper range, which Alfred just caught my attention on. I don't know if that's the same one you're looking at. I'm seeing these are kind of similar. But this could be like a shoulder, head, shoulder on an inverted kind of a level in terms of a head and shoulders bottom, an inverted pattern. It's funny because you see these a lot of times at the named after them, right? At the bottom, but sometimes they are still consolidation in nature. So you could still get like a short-term target if you were to take out, let's say, the neckline and really start to rally here too. So interesting. But yeah, there patterns within patterns, right? Remember that class we talked about? Diamond bottom, 5-6. Okay. I'll have to look at some of these. Interesting. 5-6, 5-6. Maybe we're looking at the other one too. Yeah. The diamond formation too is something like this. It's like you kind of get a diamond out of it. That might be sort of a diamond top. But a lot of times you see these at the bottom, although I've seen interesting sort of setups on that where there can be moves. But yeah, love it. All right. Hey, a quick note too. Some of the areas that have been trending a little bit, look at airlines. Just as a side note, airlines still continuing to go. Do you remember this trade we did of the swing trade? Well, we hit our target, as you can see it right there. That was one I just wanted to highlight there. That was a pretty clear flag, right? Flag, flag. This is the one we talked about with a pattern within a pattern. If you guys remember that, I'm sure that was a class we had specifically here, but short term, long term, and the long term was the range that we actually held. Those had been sold in the paper money, and that was a swing trade target. But this is an interesting one. Now, there is one in here. It's not Delta necessarily. Delta's been really quite strong. AAL, these have been flying high, if you catch that, so to speak. Okay, pretty strong. Here's one that wasn't, that might be a little bit of a laggard, but could be showing a little bit of a swing. Still sticking with airlines, because there might be a big driver in the airlines too. Just reviewing what we've got out there. Take a look at this. Where are you seeing a possibility of a flag pattern here? While you're looking for the current flag pattern, where did this form? And some of the points made, Alfred brought this up and others too, but sometimes these can be bigger formations. You see it down here as well. What are we seeing right now? Shoulder, head, shoulder, shoulder, head, shoulder. Some of the classic bottom formations. And remember what it was? I mean, sometimes traders will look at this and say, "Gosh, Mike, there's a measured move in here." Okay, true. You could look at that range off the tops and the bottoms, but there's also the shoulder, head, shoulder. I mean, can you take out that upper range over here, breaking that neckline? Yes. And is there a shorter term target that measures? I got to get some different colors, get a lot of lines. You get that. Okay, so I'm sorry. Yeah, from really the high to the low range, which is what we're kind of getting here, getting something similar here. But you measure this to the upside. I'll measure it on the trend line break. It's somewhere in there. Notice that can just be the initial target right there. We did hit it. In fact, we paused right there, and then we gapped up above, and now we're doing one of these. And that's all I wanted to highlight for you guys right there. That was the minor swing trade pattern right there. You see it? Just a little bit of a move, but I mean, this can be like that could be a big move right there. I mean, it's possible. So is this a laggard in the area? What's keeping this up? What, why are airlines moving up so much? Well, they could be getting fueled by, wrong one, right here, oil. Now, I sent this X post out or tweet out over the weekend. It's just about oil continues to fall to its triangle projection. And I'm going to highlight this right now just so you can kind of see it a little bit easier down here. You see this over here? Look at this. That was the triangle that we had broken down from. What's the range of the triangle? The height of the low right there, measure to the downside. Boom, you got it. And I don't know if we'll get all the way back down there, but it is showing that. In fact, I'm just going to move into it right over here. That's just easier to show you, but like right over here, there is CL. It's kind of crazy. I mean, it's kind of before the Iran situation really began to kick in, and we're right back down to that level. Now, that was a gap, and these gaps can hold support. But, folks, this can be a boost for the entire economy, not just for airlines. Now, maybe specifically for airlines, because two of the greatest input costs here are fuel and sort of labor costs, right? Those are the two big ones for airlines. But when this comes down, that can really help to fuel airlines higher and transportation in general. Okay. DJT, dollar sign, Dow Jones Transports. Take a look at it. What do we see? Do we still see some higher highs, higher lows? With that dropping, it can have an impact that can happen on down the road. Remember, and the economy too. S&P 500, a lot of companies in there can be impacted by lower oil prices. And we're saying that here. Now, one more over here I just wanted to highlight while we're at it. And by the way, I encourage you to follow Connie and I on X, Connie Hill, CS, Mike Fairborn, CS. Where are you? There you are. Let's kill this. And I'm just going to go back up to this. This is kind of a crazy one here, but this is Nike. You guys, look at that. Nike dropping to 2024 levels. Amazing. This one just, it is shocking. A lot of competition out there. But if you go to like a weekly chart, yeah, that's 2014. 2014 levels. In my book, that's 12 years ago. But that's like a falling knife weekly pattern. Interesting to still see some of the some of the charts out there that have shown this longer term weakness despite major gains in the underlying market itself. Folks, if you're getting value out of this presentation, we're going to the core portion of it right now. But if you are finding value, give us a like. Like this today's presentation. Like it if you are getting that value. That is, you got to get that value. But if you do get that value, like today's presentation, just helps Connie and I know that you're getting value from our discussions here, and we do really appreciate it as well. There's my post on X, Connie Hill, CS as well. I thought I'd just throw that in there. Be sure and post yours in there as well, Connie. All right, folks, by the way, just while we're at it, we'll knock this out, then we're good to go. Definitely give us a follow on Trader Talks too if you're not already following us. I know many of you are. We have 204,000 subscribers right now. And if you go into the playlist, which is where I'm at right now, the playlist tab, scroll on down, you can get a lot of great stuff. There is Trading Index Options from Connie Hill, teaches a couple of excellent classes and more. There's another one right there, starting here and some others. Be sure to check that out down here as well. Yeah, and we have our swing trade class up here. If you want to get the full playlist, I'll just post that in as well into the chat. But here is from prior classes, and there are some that are coming up that we're going to be referencing a little bit, particularly patterns within patterns. There's definitely been some of that swing trading playlist just recorded. Okay. But all right, now moving on to our discussion today. And that is going to revolve around a discussion I had last week with an indicator that's been fairly popular online. It's the AGAIG. And what it does is it looks at a lot of different scenarios in terms of volume to try to get us an idea of our prices getting ready to move or not, but based on volume. If we're saying a massive influx in volume based on kind of a trifecta of volume indications to really try to help spot, is there just massive buying that a lot of traders would say that's generally institutional because it's so high, that can clue us in on potential swing trades. So I want to make that conversion today because after going through that last week and building a scan for it within the ThinkScript class, I noticed that the swing trade time frame fits exceptionally well with some of those in terms of the patterns that we might be seeing there. Let's start it off with just a few over here. In fact, I've got this set up and I'll share the indicator in just a bit. But what I wanted to highlight, and I've shown some of these on the list, and I pulled them up earlier. I'm going to go full screen though, just to kind of highlight what we're looking at is, let's say, for example, Fastenal. Now, I pulled this up because of a 5-minute chart. I do like to reference, I think it's interesting because we swing trade the daily charts, but the 5-minute chart showed something really unusual with buying right here. Now, folks, if you step back and look at this chart, just big picture, you might see the possibility, and this is where the swing trade comes in. You got to go back to the daily from the 5. The 5 is going to show us what I'm talking about right there. This kind of buying activity has been fascinating recently, but this is big, big buying. You can actually pick it up. I'll show you over here. You see these major spikes? Some big players might be getting in, perhaps what some traders would consider with an indicator like this, AGAIG. It's a confluence of three volume indicators happening all at the same time to really kind of screen out what's going on. What's interesting though is it gets us into our daily chart now, and we can take a look at some of the swing trades that are coming up here. What would the swing trade kind of be? Well, you can see the initial leg up that does clear some highs. All else equal, traders are saying that's a positive. We're clearing some highs. We have a longer term trend at stake too. This one's a little bit of a laggard, but might be kicking into gear here. Now, we're starting to move up here, and so there still could be some room to the upside. We've already actually reached our what we refer to as a T1 target. In other words, this range over here, let's be really straightforward with this so we can see this. Looking at the flag pattern, I'm going to use actually off the bottom here, bottom to the high. This range, if I take this and simply just duplicate it, I'll move it over to this bottom. You can see that there is potential still in a move like this. Now we've already hit our level 1. Now there were some AIG indications down here. You can get them off the bottom too, right? Kind of confirming, is there enough volume to actually get the swing trade rolling? That's what we're talking about here. Could it also get it rolling on a breakout if there's still a swing trade kind of developing here? Answer to that is yes. Yes. Now, I'm going to do one other quick note that a lot of times it's the bottom before you really start to move. So you could use this high. It takes us up to an interesting level of 50. But are we beginning to move here? It's an interesting question. And what are we seeing from this buying pressure? I'll dive into this a little bit more. If you didn't see that swing trade class, I'm kind of, excuse me, the Think Script class, because I'm kind of building on it a little bit right now. But this is the T1 target when you hit this high. The T2 target would be up a little bit higher, kind of towards this prior range. Now, there could be a little bit more movement in here, perhaps, maybe even ahead of earnings. We shall see. But that is what we're finding here on something like this. Now, I'm going to move into a different one. I wanted to show you one that's already kind of setting up so you can visualize kind of the swing trade and what we might be getting into here a little bit. Okay. This indicator, though, let's just hit this real quick before we dive in a little bit further. This is our 5-day, 5-minute chart, but it highlights, it seeks out trying to find this right here. And you're getting some interesting indications. This is going to blow off volume, but you'll notice that you did get the follow through after that volume hit. And that's what traders are seeking. When we get this spike, do we get this follow through? And that's what I was telling you. This one actually had signs off the bottom, the hold on a daily chart, a confluence of volume indications is what we saw. Let me share this with you. Think scripts aren't guaranteed for timeliness or accuracy, but there are more details on this. Now, this was written by an individual by the name of Copilot, and it's a fairly it was released very recently, but it had been getting a lot of sort of insight online. Um, anyhow, I mean, a lot of, I should say, attention is what I meant to say. And let me just share this again with you. I'll put it into the chat. Remember, this is just an indicator. You can put it in on the chart to see these. Now, let me just share this so you got it into the chat box, and there you go. AGAIG. There's more information on this. You can find it online, but also the description at the top can help provide that too. There is the link for the indicator. Again, big scripts, not guaranteed for time or accuracy, but there you have it, just so you got it. Now, what's interesting here is, remember, I always like to reference this, what's happening on the swing trade, because we're trying to make this conversion. Where's the big volume spike based on this indicator? What is finding here for us? And then what's the potential follow through? What is quite interesting is it does look at, let's say, for example, the money flow index it looks at. It looks at volume on this 5-minute chart. And I go into details on this on the swing on the ThinkScript class in great detail, every one of the volume indications that it's measuring. But it also says, well, what about this volume that you're seeing down here? Is it greater than the prior 30 days? Is it 1.5 times greater than the prior 30 days? That's the information we're trying to gather. And with that, we say, okay, and it is interesting because a lot of them are within the swing trade setups. That's the conversion. We want to reference back the daily chart to spot these. Okay. That's what we're looking at. I'll tell you what's fascinating. And this is really hard to find, but this indicator is spotting even this stuff, which is a very, very rare indication in and of itself. The MF, the money flow. Remember, accumulation or distribution of shares. Folks, this was a, right, even here was where we got it, right there. That is a lower high right there. Not today even. Today is still a lower high than what we had over here. We had a lower high there, but look how volume, even accumulated volume, is breaking into new highs, even at lower price levels. Now, that's an indication for the possibility of just, there's some indication there of a potential type move. Now, we could look at this on a swing trade too. Maybe we'll throw this in as an example trade in just a bit, but let's continue. Let's hit some other ones. Now, this one showed on the list. I don't have time to get into it today, but I'll just point this out real quick. Well, let's just hit this one. I'll show you in a second. Let's pull this down on NVIDIA. Now NVIDIA, if we look at NVIDIA, are we getting a hold potential? We don't know if we'll get it today. We're not quite there. Close above the high to low day. It looks like we might get it. We've got a half hour left in the trading day, but we can't say it until we actually get it. It's a big number around 200 here. Is this a hold or is it not? Closing above the high, again, of the low day. Are we getting ready to get going here? Well, the AGAIG just flashed a signal that could help to confirm that, yes, this could be a hold. Let me go over to it right now and highlight it for you. Look at this. We had nothing all the way back here. I mean, no indications. Where does the signal where does the signal flash? At the green arrows. Okay, when you get that light green candle. What is interesting is when we combine this on a 5-minute, we might be seeing institutional buying signs that are coming in right here. And that is where we're seeing some of these follow through on the Cahold. So not just the Cahold, but we're getting that 5-minute indication of volume as well, plus volume, I should say, to confirm it. And that's what we're spotting. What's fascinating is it is spotting some of these potential Caholds is where it's hitting. You can see, let me zoom into it right here, and you'll see what this indicator shows. See the volume right there? In fact, this was the very first one we got, and it actually flashed right over here. I'm terrible on drawing these lines still, but it's right over here somewhere that we got that initial one. And what happened from there for the first time in a while? You see what we got? We got the move. Okay. It did end up actually following through. Now, here's your 30-minute chart. This is a fascinating one to keep an eye on too. Some of these will show on a 30-minute, which I think is interesting, but I've been really going between the 5 and the daily chart. Now, do you see the possibility of a flag pattern here if it does unfold? By the way, we were getting five. If you go back far enough, you're getting 5 minutes right there. The 5 minute volume signals on this one here too. Follow through. Will we get it here? It's about time for NVIDIA to bounce. Does that mean it's going to bounce? Heck no. It's going to bounce when it bounces, and we just have to wait and see. But there we got it right there. Now we are coming up to an interesting level. Is that intraday buying, that shorter term buying enough to pass this up through this level? That remains to be seen. But what a fascinating one to wait for and just see if NVIDIA is now ready to participate with the AI rally if that continues, right? That we saw initially on the charts. Now, what some traders might do is they might just put in a shorter term trade here just to get going. Maybe, I don't know, what would say? I'm just even going to throw in a really small number here. Let's just say, because it's $200 stock, we could say something like, hey, 25 shares, 50 shares. If our total lot was going to be 100 shares, that could be something to consider. And we could carry maybe a shorter stop loss, potential exit level on something like this as well. How would we do that is we're in NVIDIA. I've got a couple more to show you though right off the top. But look at this. Let's go into the trade tab and I'm going to go right click here. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to go buy custom with OCO bracket. We're going to do OCO bracket. Let's go over here. We'll do a GTC, GTC. I'm going to go with the, I'll just do 50 as an example. Let's keep it an even 50 here. There we go. Tab through it. Make sure it's locked in. I'm going to set this up a little bit higher and we'll discuss those levels here in just a moment. Let's see. I'm going to just do 195 and I'm just going to adjust these on the chart. Okay, so I'm going to click on this, make sure everything is what we expected it to be in the dialog box. Very important to do. Click it on, and there is the potential setup. Now, what I wanted to do, I didn't quite hit it, but notice you might want, let's say somebody's just say, hey, I'm going to put the exit just below today's low. But here's the interesting part. Where would our target be? Wow. Well, if it's the longer term move, we still didn't get an entry yet. But if it's the longer term move, where's the flag pattern? Let's pull these guys on down and pull it down some more. I'm just going to overlay it with a blue line here and we'll just show you, like, for example, that's a big move. That there. Now, this might extend even beyond, there's the fill, even beyond the swing trade time frame, which is oftentimes 3 to 15 to 21 days. Okay, really a month or less. But you notice within there's a wide time frame, the 3-day move. That's like the 3 soldier up move, right? But it could be around a target. Here is one that could make more sense, and that would be here. How about, it's still kind of a longer term. I mean, it's still kind of a longer range, but it would fit more into the swing trade time frame. The T1 target. What is the T1? It's up to the high point of the flag. All right. So let's just use that one for now. And I'm going to pull it up and just say, boom, right there. That's the target. It's a T1 target or somewhere. I put it right at the top. How about just like right within there? There we go. Okay. Now, in terms of potential risk, potential reward, some traders might really like something like this because there's your risk potential. I mean, assuming that we talked about the stops already from our initial disclosure, but potential exit level and potential target using really an indicator times 2. I should say 2 indicators. Right? Indicator times 2. There we go. Indicator times 2. We've got some indications from the daily chart, but also from the 5-minute chart. We've got, hey, potential flag pattern, setting up a hold. There's a couple. But we also getting the volume on that hold that suggests we might be seeing some big players take positions here. Now, okay, on this, you might say, how did I get this information? How did I get this popping up for me and seeing what's moving? Because some of these aren't on here, and I'm only looking back over a short period of time on the day. I did it through a scan. Now, I don't have time to go into that scan completely today with you, but you can get that scan the code for it, so you can just find those green arrows exclusively. That's the strongest part of this, the bullish part, the strongest bullish part of the scan for sure. I just did it on last Thursday. I'll copy this link and you guys can get that scan and look for those just the exact same way I am here. Uh, if you haven't seen it, but here it is. Okay, so uh, well, that was the class. It gives you details on what's going on too. But I wanted to add this today and really do that swing conversion with the AG AIG indicator. In this case, the scan as well. I'm sorry, that's the playlist for it. I just typed in the playlist, but over here, yeah, I just did the full playlist. It's just gonna be the top one on that list. You can pull it up and take a look at it, okay? But that should work. Let me know if that link does not work. But anyways, that's how you can get it. Remember, that code is going to be in the description field below the video. Just click on more. It'll be down there, and then you can import it, right? All right, so there's one here. Now, this is a fascinating one. I'm giving you guys a variety of what you could find with this. ROP came on here, Roper Technologies, company I'm not really familiar with at all, but I'm going to throw it out here just so you could see it. What this spotted, and I'm going to show you where that indicator's at right there. Do you see it? Man, we didn't get anything. Look at this, all the way through here, this downward move, no indications. But right off this bottom, and we've been getting it through this, actually this entire move up, and these aren't really too common that you're going to get on even a 5-minute chart. They don't happen too much in terms of that sort of trifecta of volume. But over here, it kind of got a little overwhelming. And you say, what is going on here? Well, go back to the daily chart. For the first time, we just got one on the 30-minute as well. Look at that right there. So there was enough volume indications on that 30-minute across the three measures there to actually show us here. So what is going on? It's been going down, 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 down. Now, Alfred is going to say, hey, Mike, you're missing the double bottom. I'm seeing a bottom down there for sure. I mean, there's a couple of points. Do we have enough signs it's going to flip around yet? Well, it's a double bottom. It's a longer term move. We don't know if it's going to round over here and head up or not, but there are some interesting indications. Nonetheless, just to keep an eye on here, look at this. Look at this. This is very rare. You'll find this every once in a blue moon in terms of, yes, we are on the daily chart here. Accumulation, ACC for short. That's a long word to type out. Accumulation or distribution is what this indicator helps us find. This is interesting. Are we getting some potential buyers here at the bottom or not? Look at this line go up. Folks, where are we at? Where does this measure with price? On our 1-year chart, I mean, we're above this high. This is kind of expensive stock, but if you look at this high here, look at this. Draw that line all the way across. I'll get better at this. We're clearing everything here. That says that the amount of volume, according to money flow, the amount of volume accumulation that has occurred here is more than what even got us up to these levels here. So that says, and we'd have to go back on a 2-year chart to see it, but that says right there, the volume accumulation has been so strong that it even puts us up to this level. Now, can that help to create a rounded bottom? Fascinating. It can. So we're getting the AG, AIG right in here. Indication through that scan and verified on the indicator right here, which is, by the way, a higher low. Could this be a bottom formation? I go to tops, I go to bottoms because a lot of you do like the tops, a lot of you like the bottoms. There's a variation here with the bottoms, you are getting some value, maybe some value indications. These can be longer stretches. Of course, this is kind of unusual for a swing trade. All I'm saying is you could watch something like this for the possibility of a break, and then these. You're going to, maybe some swing trade scenarios in here if in fact it does follow through. But really, really interesting to see this one on the bottom, and that came up through that scan right through here. So, by the way, it's interesting because look at this. You're getting it through here, even here, accumulation. So somebody's coming in And there are big volume spikes. I don't know who that is or what's going on here, but around this area during the day, you're getting some spikes. I don't even know too much about the company, but it'd be interesting to kind of take a look at it. This one is fascinating because it did tie in with that money flow. You got that right there. Okay. How about a recent one that we're just seeing? Just as we wrap it up, one more. How many of you have been watching AVGO for any signs off the bottom? Okay, I mean, I've been watching it. I'll raise my hand. Sure. Here, there we go. Um, the it's kind of interesting. It was so strong over here, and then it just kind of nosedived. Will it be a follower? Will we see some strength going forward on AVGO on Broadcom? That was a pretty big gap to the downside, right? So we'll see this move right there. That's a big gap. But right there, look at that. Right off that lower end. What are you guys seeing there? Hold, maybe? Yeah. Yeah. Anything behind the scenes? 5 minute. Nothing through here. Can you see any green arrows at all through here? Anything. Oh, I can go back further. You're not going to see anything here. That's like one of the very first ones right there. Now, is everything 100? Is it a guarantee? No, but it is showing that something hit, and this coincides with the possibility of a swing trade setup. I'm going to look at it here in just a second. I'll just highlight it. Don't have time to put the example trade in. Maybe I'll put one in after that we could track. But swing trade. What else do we see on the daily? Daily dot D Cahold. Is it a Cahold yet? No. We've still got 18 minutes before it's a hold as long as it closes above that range. But it could, in fact, be a hold right there. So what do you say? It's still kind of like a falling trend, but could you keep eyes on it? Now, a lot of these, as you track it, as you guys import that scan, you're going to see plenty like this. I showed some upper ranges, some lower range, some bottoms, some tops, and then there's a lot of intermediate in here too, where you're trying to just see, hey, are there further indications for that swing off a pretty rigorous volume requirement, the AGAIG, to get it going? That's what we're talking about. Folks, if you like today's presentation, smash that like button. Lets us know, Connie and I, that you found it useful and informative. That's the whole idea here, to give you guys some indications, some fun things to look at, to keep eyes on. There's a lot to look at here, but these could potentially be helpful. All right. Well, hey, it is always great being with you, and I appreciate the questions, comments that have come through. Yeah, the scan was over here. I'll just highlight it here. Yeah, real quick so we can tell. It was the last. I just shared the playlist. I'll pull it up at the top so you can see it. It was right here. Yeah, so it was a newly released four-factor scan. So there's also trend built into it, but three of the four factors are volume, and so you can get that there. That would be the one. I'll just copy the link. I'll throw it in right there. So here is the actual link at the bottom for that. Can only discuss so much as we go through this, but I want you guys to be thinking about taking other volume considerations and tying those in to what we're looking at. You know what? I've got a bonus one. Sorry. Sorry, y'all. We got 1 minute left. Here's a bonus one, okay, for you. This one over here is kind of a TTM type squeeze, PNFP. Yeah, Pinnacle. Do you see anything interesting with this? There is, and I think many of you know about the TTM squeeze because we talked about that. Bollinger Band trading within the Keltner channel, not to throw too much out, but just to highlight it. It just came out, folks, just came out of that TTM squeeze with our little green right there. What's interesting about this, that's a big 100 level. Money flow for the first time really breaking above the range. It's been dragging, except through here and here. So do you see the potential for a possible swing over here? Some interesting indicators to back it up. Folks, that's all I've got. But on that note, be sure to follow us on X as well as our YouTube channel over here, Trader Talks. All right. Thank you so much, Connie, for your help. and in the chat and our production crew. Everybody have a fantastic rest of the day. Look forward to next discussion. See ya.